Greetings viewers, EricTheCarGuy here, back again with another tool review video for you. It wasn't that long ago that I did a review on the 1/2-inch impact from AC Delco. And since then, I've got to say, it's worked out pretty well. I've enjoyed the fact that I haven't had to haul around my air hose, and the tool's actually held up pretty well. It's been kind of surprising how much I've enjoyed using it. So I thought, hey, why not a 3/8 impact? And here we are with the DeWalt 3/8 electric impact. It's a 12-volt impact, but if you read the fine print very closely, you will see that it says maximum initial battery voltage measured without a workload is 12 volts. Normal voltage is 10.8. So if you're really particular about the amount of voltage going through your tool, this technically would be a 10.8 volt, but I can't see advertising that. That's a little strange. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. We're going to do an unboxing, but before we do that, the question I often get asked is, Eric, where was that tool made? And I had to search around on the outside of the box, but I eventually found it right here. It says, tool, accessories, and charger are made in China. Batteries made in Japan, China, or Korea. So the batteries could be made in one of 3 different places, but the actual tool itself looks to be made in China. It's kind of a common place we find our tools these days now, isn't it? Let's begin with the unboxing. Yay, I'm kind of excited. I've wanted to do this for a while. And we find a black bag. The black bag is covering, it's kind of nice that it's got a handy little carrying bag so that you can transport your tool with you. You know, it's kind of smaller than I expected. It feels nice as far as the actual tool itself. Looks like there's a way to lock the trigger if you put the switch in the center position. This is how you change direction, going one way or the other, and then looks like this. It also looks like there might be some illumination here based on this clear ring around the outside and what appears to be some LEDs that are there. It's something I see on a lot of electric tools these days, on drills and impacts and things, including this 1/2-inch here. It's got one to basically illuminate your work while you're there. So we have a piece of cardboard, a couple of batteries that could be made in China, Korea, or Japan. Hard to say. I wonder if the batteries will actually tell me where they were made. Let's see. These batteries were made in Korea. This battery appears to have also been made in Korea. We have the charger. We will need this, namely to recharge the batteries. Looks like they just sort of clip down on there like that, and looks like do they lock into place? Looks like they lock into place, but they kind of lock loosely into place, so it looks like they'll come off rather quickly and easily. It's a nice design, and here's our key for how the charger actually works. As far as looks like there's a flashing light here on the side. We'll plug that in here in a moment. But that looks like about it, aside from a manual for it. The bag is kind of nice. Seems like you can fit all of your stuff in here. Both batteries. Well, let's plug the battery into the tool. Looks like it just slides on there like so. It doesn't seem to come off of the tool like it did off of the charger in the same way. And as I suspected, those are LEDs. One of the things that I liked about the AC Delco is it had a state of charge on the battery itself, but it doesn't on this DeWalt, which is okay. I mean, if it starts to lose its oomph, I know that it's time to replace it. But just for the heck of it, I'd like to compare this to my pneumatic 3/8 impact, just to see as far as size and weight goes. This is considerably lighter. I could say that right off the bat, which is nice. And also with the battery in place, it feels very nicely balanced in my hand. There's a nice rubber grip to it that goes all the way up the back here, and also rubber here on the front. The construction is mostly plastic. I think only the important parts are actual metal parts. I didn't really read into it to find out what type of hammers are inside the impact mechanism. Rubber pads here and here, so when you set it down, or if it maybe falls or something like that, and there is always the potential to drop tools when you're working. Okay, here's my pneumatic impact. This was one from Mac many years ago, and I half think that this was a, you know what? I think this is actually an Ingersoll Rand, if we're comparing. But as I said in my last electric impact review, have gotten pretty tired of my air hose and tripping over it. So I'm slowly switching over to these cordless tools, and I'm really enjoying the result. It's just so nice to be able to move around and have that freedom and not be tethered to an air hose. Not to mention running an air compressor. However, I do find that one of the things that you run into is battery life on these. And I'm glad you get 2 batteries, because that way you can keep one on the charger and then go to work and then come back. So that's your limitation. So you aren't tethered to a compressor, but at the same time, you are a slave to how much juice is in your batteries. And the lower the juice gets, the less effective the tool will be. So why don't we find out how effective this tool is? And I devised what I believe to be a clever test, and also a way to get some work done that I need to get done. Behind me, you may notice my 2004 Element. Guess what? It needs a tire rotation. And yeah, I really should use a 1/2 inch impact on the lug nuts of the Element, but I'm just gonna see if this 3/8 can break them loose, just to see. I'm gonna run this thing through its paces and see how well it can do that. But I like holding this tool. I like the way it feels. I like the weight at the bottom and at the top. Like I said, it feels very balanced. So as far as the overall feel, it's great. But let's find out how well it works, and then we'll pass judgment. Okay, before we head over to my Element to swap the wheel out, why don't we get a battery charging just to see how the charger works. Okay, before I head over, I believe I've deciphered the code. These long dashes would indicate that it's charging. If it was continuously on, that would mean that it is fully charged. If it is a long interval and then followed by a short interval, that would mean that there's a hot-cold delay. Maybe the battery itself is quite hot and not able to take a charge. If the light flashes rapidly, then that would indicate that there's a problem with either the battery or the charger itself. So I believe I've deciphered that part of it there. All right, well, here we are. I have the Element raised up and ready to swap the wheels around. Now this is a 3/8. If I'm honest, I'm really handicapping this tool. Also, I just took the battery out of the box after taking delivery, so I don't even know if I have a fully charged battery here. So if this can actually break lug nuts loose, I'll be very impressed. If not, I'm not going to fault the tool because, as I said, I'm kind of handicapping it here. But if it works, hey, it works. But this is a good try to see if it can. I don't think I need to do any more. It obviously doesn't have the oomph to remove these lug nuts, and I don't feel the least bit bad about it. That's not exactly what I'd be using this for. I'd be using this for other things. So let's see if we can find another test or another use for this tool so we can run it through its paces. Okay, here I have my 3/8 pneumatic impact, just to make a fair comparison between the two tools, between electric and pneumatic. So we'll see if this can remove the lug nuts on the Element. Well, apparently it can. All right, back to our electric impact. What I have here is a cylinder head off of it was that Honda Civic that I put the engine in some time ago. And I'm going to attempt to remove these fasteners that hold the camshaft in place. These are 12 millimeter. I believe these are torqued to somewhere around, I don't think they're any more than 20 foot-pounds is what these are torqued to. So we should not have an issue removing these fasteners. So let's give it a shot. And once again, remember, I don't necessarily have a fully charged battery here, and that's definitely going to come into play with the use of electronic tools like this. Not doing so great so far. Why don't we try these smaller ones that should only be torqued down to an inch-pound setting. Okay, the tool is struggling a bit. The fact that it's struggling a bit means that I may not be giving it a fair test. Let's fully charge a battery and come back to this exact same test and see how well we do then. Okay, while we're waiting for our battery to charge, I thought I would take a look at the outside of the packaging and see what it said as far as its ratings for torque capacity, that kind of thing. What it says is it's a compact, lightweight design that fits into tight areas. It talks about the LEDs, the 3 LEDs at the front of the tool that provide illumination without shadows, apparently. Also, it says it's 3/8 or 9.5 millimeters, hog ring available with 1,150 inch-pounds of torque. So it looks like a great big number if you list it in inch-pounds, but let's convert those inch-pounds to actual foot-pounds and see what we're working on. So we have 1150, and that's inch-pounds. So there's 12 inches in a foot. So let's just divide that by 12. Comes out to 95.8333 foot-pounds. So it only has about 95 foot-pounds of torque, to put that into perspective, which honestly isn't really a whole lot when it comes to impact tools. Obviously, my 3/8 pneumatic impact has a bit more torque than that. And it's also available all the time. You know, unlike electric tools, your torque is available all the time with pneumatic tools as long as your compressor is working to capacity. But with electric tools, as that electricity gets used, you're going to have less power available to the tool. It's definitely something to be considered here. So you're trading off convenience for strength in many ways. It doesn't look like we're going to have as strong a tool here, but it is convenient to use. So we'll see how that measures up once this charges up fully. According to our charger, we now have a fully charged battery. I'm going to take that one off. It looks like you just push this little tab to get the batteries on and off. Well, to get them off anyway. And we'll put that one on to charge while we install our freshly charged battery on our tool. Now let's take it over to that cylinder head and see how well it does now. Here we are back at our Honda cylinder head. And as I said, I believe these are somewhere in the neighborhood. They're no more than 30 foot-pounds, I can say that. So that's what this has. So hopefully the tool can show us its stuff. Let's try the 10 millimeter fasteners, which are more in the inch-pound range. Okay, let's try the other side. Just to be fair, let's try the other 10 millimeter. It got those. Perhaps this one's locked on quite a bit. Let's try, just to be fair, another one of these 12s. Well, I think that's very telling. Now, as you'll see, it's no match for the pneumatic gun. Except for the fact that my ring on the end of this thing is pretty much worn out. I've come up with what I believe to be somewhat clever way to determine how much torque the DeWalt is capable of breaking loose. It's only an estimate that I have that these are at 30 foot-pounds. Why don't I use my torque wrench and put them at 30 foot-pounds and see if the gun can break it loose? Now, granted, it doesn't have the same coked up stuff on the outside of the fastener that these other ones do, but at least we can get some sort of gauge about what the capabilities of this impact are and under controlled conditions, or as controlled conditions as I can create here. I'm going to set the wrench to 30 foot-pounds. Hopefully you can see that there. I can at least use it to run them down into place. And you know, I haven't mentioned this, but it is variable speed based on trigger pressure. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just giving it a little bit of finger pressure, just enough to run these down. So that's kind of a nice feature of the gun, that you can control how much force is coming out just through trigger pressure. So now we'll set these to this 30 foot-pounds. Maybe I passed it. Maybe these are supposed to be less than 30 foot-pounds. Yeah, these are supposed to be considerably less. It looks like, I'm thinking these might be somewhere around 25. I really should look up the spec, but honestly, this is a scrap cylinder head, so it doesn't really matter what I do to it, so I'm not really concerned about stripping threads out or anything. So don't beat me up too much on that. We can't even seem to get, oh, there we go. That's at 30 foot-pounds. So we'll try this one that we've already broken loose and bring that to that 30. It just doesn't feel like it's going to do it. It feels like it's going to keep going and pretty much strip the head out. So 30 foot-pounds would be too much in this case. So these should be less than 30 foot-pounds based on what I'm seeing here. So I'm going to back off and we'll try 20 foot-pounds. We'll try taking it back, dialing it back about 10 foot-pounds to see what we get. All right, that one's there. These over here will be the true test because I haven't tried to run these down at all yet. Okay. Okay, so these we know for sure at 20 foot-pounds. These might be a little bit more. At 20 foot-pounds, it works fine, but once you break a fastener loose, it's loose. It's these here in the center. Which is what I would need this gun for. That's what I'm looking for from it. So it's a bit of a disappointment in that sense, but that one was closer to the 30 foot-pound mark. So just for round numbers, I'm going to say this thing is good for breaking things loose for up to, let's say, 30 foot-pounds. Beyond 30 foot-pounds, you don't really have too much that's there. I hope this test helps satisfy some of your needs for scientific data on this impact. Well, there we have it, the DeWalt 3/8 impact. I honestly, I'm going to say it, I'm not impressed. I was expecting a little more. The tool is very light, it's very portable, it's easy to move around, but as far as the kind of oomph that it has, honestly, I think it's somewhat underpowered. If you're looking for something powerful and consistent, I would say look for one of these Ingersoll Rand's pneumatic impacts, but in order to do that, you've got to have a decent air compressor, air hose, all the fittings and everything to go with it, so that's a lot more stuff that you need. This tool is way more convenient. You can take it anywhere, and it comes with a nice bag that you can do that with. But as far as its actual output, like I said, I'm not that impressed. And if you take a closer look at the inside here, I was noticing like little bits of something that seemed to be coming out of the front of the tool. I think I stressed it out pretty good. I don't know if that was the lug nuts or what, but just out of the box, like I said, I'm not fully impressed with it. So if I was going to make a comparison between a pneumatic and an electric tool, I would say that this 3/8 impact would be the equivalent of like this 1/4-inch air ratchet. So it does have a use, but I wouldn't expect too much from it. If you're really expecting to use it on more heavy-duty things and you really need it to break things loose, I would go with pneumatic tools on this one. But if you're in a position to where you don't necessarily have the money to buy the air compressor and everything that goes with it, this may be the tool for you. But that's my conclusion. As far as pricing, I'm going to list that down in the description. Pricing changes sometimes. They go on sale, that kind of thing. So the price will be listed right at the top of the description, along with a link for you to go and check out the tool for yourself. And also don't forget that I have an entire page on my website dedicated to tools if you want to shop around there. All those links will be in the description, ready and waiting for you. But I'm a little disappointed, honestly. I'm a little disappointed to give this one a not so great review. I don't like giving things not so great reviews. But I do not get paid for these reviews. I want to do honest reviews. So if you have automotive questions, I would ask that you head over to EricTheCarGuy.com because it is absolutely the best place to get answers for those automotive questions. There's a welcome video there to tell you about all the wonderful features we have on the site available to you to help you solve those automotive issues. In addition to that, you can connect with me socially on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter, and I close each of my videos with be safe, have fun, stay dirty, and always, as always, don't forget to play with your tools. Enjoy. I'll see you next time.